last name in her. Here we go, live on episode 156 of the Trash Talk Business Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Andy Wines, with Camel Crew Responsible Junk Removal right here in Butler, Wisconsin, serving southeastern Wisconsin. And this week, we have a very special episode. As we grow, scale, and build our business, it's all about the who, not the how. Great book by Dan Sullivan and the team. And today we're going to talk to one of those who's that's on our team, joining us today on the episode live in the flesh from our second studio, otherwise known as the conference room, Earl Turner. Earl, welcome to the show.
Afternoon. Hello, good to be here. Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about this, Earl. What brings you here today?
Well, today when I was offloading my truck, the boss man came by and said, "Earl, you're promoted," and he said, "I'm be on podcast," and so here I am.
See, we always start with a simple question of the why. So let's talk bigger, right? Let's dig a little deeper.
Okay.
The Japanese methodology why tie. So we'll do this methodology of why 5 times. So why is it you were selected to be on the podcast today? Why do you think?
Okay. Well, I believe it's because I have been working here for a few months now, and I've been learning and growing, and I want to say I've been displaying some of the qualities that you guys push here, and I'm a crew chief now, and so working my way up, and so yeah, I just want to say I'm improving, I'm getting better and better.
I like that. All right, I'm gonna pick up on one thing you said. Why are the qualities important here at Camel Crew?
It's what we live and I won't say die by, but it's what we live by. Hunger, dependability, camaraderie, and the new one, esprit de corps. It's just like if you can fit into those 4 qualities, you're well off here. So yeah.
So why is that? Why are those four our values, our 4 values? Why are those 4 values so important for the way we run our business?
Well, in this, it's if you want to, we can think about the absence of each one of these and what that would entail. And so, like, if you're working and there's an absence of hunger, that'll affect your work ethic. If you're working and there's an absence of camaraderie, no one wants to work with you. No one wants to work with you, and it's just a bad work environment. And so I guess and you can do that for everything else. And so I guess the presence of these things, leads to a good work environment, productive work, profitable work, and just all that good stuff.
So why is a good work environment important to you?
We've all had those jobs. You have, and so have I, where you wake up in the morning and you probably roll your eyes, you probably grunt and groan about having to get into work. This job is not like that. The fact that there's such a focus on camaraderie and fitting in where you get in and contributing, I know that I'm not going to be picking up anyone's slack. I'm just going to be contributing to the team's work, and so yeah, just the balance of what I put in as an individual versus what individuals put into it as well is just a matter of everyone putting in the most.
I appreciate that, Earl. See, there we go. Well, you survived why 5 times methodology. I do that when I do workshops. One of the things I get into when I do a 4-hour workshop, the last hour block of instruction, after we set our goals, we talk about why. And then you tie the emotion to the action, and that's where you really get that individual buy-in. Because at that point, I've led them down this journey so that they have a very clear what they want to do, right? SMART goal, singular, measurable, obtainable, relevant, time-bound. And then they tie their why to it. I had a gentleman in Orlando back in January. His what was to buy a house in the next 2 years, right? And I said, okay, well, why? And he goes, well, it's me and my wife and our 3 kids, and we're in a 2-bedroom apartment. I'm like, okay, why? And he's like, well, I've had a checkered past, and now I want to be a good citizen. Okay, why? He's like, well, I grew up, in an apartment, and I hadn't had it provided to me, and I want to provide it for my kids. And I go, why? And he stopped, and he was either going to cry or he was balling up his fist and about to cry all at the same time.
Mhm.
And then we got to the good stuff, the importance of him being a father because he had missed that time for his kids and his father had missed time for him. And then we got to the why. And then by that point, he started crying
Oh, I bet.
and really drove home the what. And so why 5 times methodology can be as simple as, well, why do we do things around here? Why do we recycle? Right?
Yeah,
Okay, well,
yeah.
why? Right. And then we get down, right? Because it's all about root cause. I read a meme not so long ago, and it said a conclusion is merely the time when you stop asking questions. Right?
Yeah.
So, and that's true, right? So it's like, well, you
Yeah.
can why right, you can ask why once, hey, why'd you do that? And someone give you a bullshit answer. Or you can do it 5 times and you can learn something about the other person, their motives, their ideas, or
Mhm.
even why about processes. And you find out, well, no, we did that for this vendor. Well, the vendor changed. Okay, well, then that process no longer best serves us. So, anyways,
Yeah.
that's why 5 times methodology for you and the listeners to enjoy. So let's
I'm
talk
gonna steal
about
that
that.
from you just ahead.
That's not. There's no such thing as it's. It ain't stealing. Actually, it's the book "Steal Like an Artist," a great book where he talks about a piece of literature from 2000 BC. Talk about how there's no original work and everybody steals from everybody else. And that was
Oh, yeah.
4,000 years ago on a piece of stone. So yeah, it's called. It's a great book, "Steal Like an Artist." Again,
Steal
when
Like
you
an
steal from
Artist.
one person, yeah, I have it upstairs here. I'll give you a copy. Steal like it's when you steal from one person, it's called plagiarism. When you steal from everybody, it's called research. It's merely semantics. And yes, I stole that from somebody who stole it from somebody else, right? And there's no original thought. It's merely regurgitating all the things you've heard, right, in the machine that is your own head.
Mhm.
All right, so let's get into it. So background, you started August-ish, September? When did you
Yeah.
start?
Yeah, end of August, end of summertime.
That's right. Yeah, so you started in August. It's now April. Talk through those first couple months doing junk removal. What is it you knew about junk removal before getting here? What is it you learned since?
Well, for one, I knew only of junk removal what I've seen on commercials with the mainstream guys. I didn't know, and maybe from that show Dirty Jobs, I think they might have had junk removal guys on that show. With
Yeah,
was it
Mike
Tim
Rowe.
Rowe or Mike Rowe?
Mike Rowe.
And so, thank you, Mike Rowe. And so, I didn't know much about the details about junk removal other than that, we go into people's houses and take things that they don't see necessary anymore. What we call junk. Um, I mean, the first day it wasn't a house; it was a office building. And so from there, I was like, oh, this is different than what I was going to be. And also, I think that was a day that we started getting metal and scrap from the office building, and so it wasn't. And so that was like my introduction to junk removal, where it wasn't simply removing the junk and taking to a junkyard somewhere, but it was actually removing it and figuring out what's the best place to put it, being it recycle, uh, donation, and so on and so forth. And so that was what was the second question or third question? It was like 3 questions, right?
Well, so I wanted to hear kind of your first day experience, and what
Okay,
are some of the
okay.
things? What are some of the things? So you kind of highlight that, right? It was like you had this idea of what it would be based off of TV and commercials, and then day
Mm.
one, it's like, oh wait, we're separating this stuff, we're sorting
Yep,
it.
yep, yep,
It's not all going in
exactly.
the same location. And now,
Yeah.
so were some of the things. So that was back in August. What else have you learned about the industry? What have you learned about yourself, this company? Share with us to give us an idea of from day one employee to in 8, 9 months later, and a leader within our organization. How has that shifted and changed?
Okay, so there's a lot. Um, I will say this is the first job that I've had to be somewhere by 7 a.m. And so honestly, that really pushed me in my discipline area when it comes to getting my butt up. What does it say? They would say, wake up. When you wake up, get up.
Yeah.
I'm not a
Oh, yeah.
big that's not a big habit of mine, but with this job, I was kind of forced into doing that. Was it time, place, uniform? Just a matter of coming in ready, coming in with just like an attitude of I'm gonna get stuff done. Um, Also, just the idea that you guys gave me a chance to become a crew chief here. I'm sorry, what was the question again? Just like what I learned about myself.
Yeah, what'd you learn about yourself? Yeah, I want the arc of change. One of the things I see on this show. I'm here. I started back in 2009. and who I am in 2025 is completely different. The industry is very
Mhm.
different.
Mhm.
And so I want to know from you, like, so, time, place, uniform, that's one of our fundamentals. And for some
Yep, yep.
people where 7 a.m., right. And I love what you just said. I've heard it before. And I love the way you said, right. Get up when you wake up, because you can wake up and drag ass, or you
Yep.
can get up when you wake up and get up and tackle the day. Right. It's the buffalo versus the buffalo versus the cattle method or mindset. You
Mhm.
be the bison, right? We talk about that. It's another one of our fundamentals here at Camel Crew is be the bison, right? The
Mhm.
storm's coming, right? The alarm's coming. The 7 a.m.'s coming. You got two choices. You either run away from it and the storm catches you when you're already weak and beaten and battered,
Or run
or
into it.
right?
Yep,
In
yep.
the more Judeo or more Christian mindset, it's bear your cross, more Christian, I guess, right? What
Mhm.
the cross you bear, you either choose the cross or the cross gets bestowed upon you,
Mhm.
right? Everything in life is a choice. It's like, do you want to, diet and exercise now and be healthy later, or do you want to have a shitty life and pay high medical costs later? Like it's
Mhm.
it's a very simple choice: buy good food and gym, or pay for drugs and surgeries and whatever else on the back end.
Mhm. So yeah, kind of building off of that. I mean, like I said, the first job that I've had where I had to get up early, but also the first job I've ever had where I've ended past like 5 or 6 p.m. and I don't know, just like a matter of this job has really shown me, I guess, that I can it's because I say but that I can stick with it. You know,
Yeah.
that when I want to quit, if I push past that and continue, I can get stuff done. I don't know how to really put it
Well,
that way. How to really put it. So what?
you're breaking ceilings, right? You have
Yeah,
this
yeah.
artificial ceiling. I am only capable of this. It's like, right? And I say
Mhm,
you can either break a ceiling with your fist on your way up, or you can break it with your face. That's a
mhm,
choice, right?
mhm,
And sometimes you break it with your face,
mhm,
right? And that's that reality slapping you in the face kind of mentality, or whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
mhm,
And even with you, we push you to be a crew chief when you weren't necessarily ready or understood the whole job, right? We talk about get it, want it, capacity, right? It was a
mhm,
need of the organization. You were the next man up. We started giving you the chances. There's other people we've given the opportunity to be crew chief, and they got a couple, gave them a couple responsibilities and they failed. And with you, we gave you a couple responsibilities and you passed and you passed and you passed and you passed. Like you slowly worked your way to that position, and then all of a sudden you realize one day, like, wow, I really am doing the job.
mhm.
Um, what did that feel like when you got to that realization? Like, wait, I've slowly broken through these ceilings. What was that feeling like?
Well, that's a great question. For me, the biggest ceiling I had to get through was getting here on time. Um,
Mhm.
and I remember Andrew, one of the other managers here, had told me I had to be on time. I think it was 30 days, 30
Yep.
days. And for me, for me that was not easy. Like I said, just to
Yeah.
get up 6 weeks in a
Yeah.
row and to myself, don't just lay here. Get up, get ready to go, get your son ready to go. Get to work on time. 6 weeks in a row. Um, that was a challenge for me. But you know what though? I want to say like around week 4 or week 3. I'll say week 3. Um, I kind of forgot about it and just started doing it. And like I want to say week 7 or 8, I was told, "Hey Earl, you've been on time. Out of 40 days, you've missed one day on time." And I'm like, "What?" I kind of just forgot about it because I don't know. You guys got me out here making certain lifestyle changes and make them into more habits. And so yeah, that's just when it came to getting on time. Now, when it comes to my leadership, though, I don't know if you want to get it, if you want to get there, if you want to go into that. But I mean, with this job, I went from the person who is waiting to be told what to do to the person who is now uh, delegating folk what to do. Kind of like pushing other people to work harder, work faster, work smarter. And so, yeah, it's just I've just to go from someone who was late all the time, waiting to be told what to do, to being someone who's on time and calling the shots. I don't know what more to say. I don't know.
What
It's a great
couple
transformation.
couple things you hit it now, which is really interesting. Habit forming, 21 days. When you do something 21 days in a row, it becomes a habit. And you no longer think about it. You said that. You was like, after like week 3 or 4, I forgot about it because it's the new habit. So 21 days is what it takes. And for every day you miss, it takes 2 days to get back. Right. So if you're on a 21-day journey and you miss it one day, it takes 2 more days, and then you can restart. You can start counting again. If you miss 2 days, if you this is the hillbilly math. If you miss it 2 days in a row, it takes 5 days. And when you miss it 3 days in a row, you restart the clock. Because once you've not done something 3 days in a row, that's it. You've already moved on.
Wow.
So there we go. Taylor likes the name of the episode, From Late to Leader. That's actually a pretty good episode title. And it's also proof of concept, right? There's that old adage, right? Our leaders born or our leaders made. And I am strongly a believer that you have to be born first and then made later. Because when you multiply anything by 0, it's still 0. When you have, like you said, you went from waiting to be told what to do. There are some people that are 70, 80 years old still waiting to be told what to do. Because that's it. There's zero gumption whatsoever. And maybe it's there and they choose not to act. So that's still a 0. Right? The thought without action is still 0. You don't get credit for an idea. You get credit for what you do in this world. And so we saw it in you. You came in articulate. You're one of the smarter guys. Like day one, I'm like, oh, that guy's got a brain on him. As soon as he can start showing up to work on time, we could give him a little more responsibility. Right? Like I said, everything we gave you, you were successful at. You're like, all right, Earl, now you're going to drive. All right, now you should drive. All right, Earl, now you're going to use Jobber. Right? You're using Jobber. Right? Like along the way, right? We use certain guys on the team as a litmus test. Like Jerome, for example. Jerome's the old guy. He's 42 now. I'm 41. We're a year apart. And when it comes to technology, when Jerome can figure it out, I know everybody can figure it out because he hates computers. Right? So that's our litmus test.
Yeah.
So that's when Jerome figures it out, that's whatever it is. Now, if it's technology Jerome can't figure it out, okay, then it's too great for the expectation of everybody else. And so far, Jerome figured out the technology. It's funny though. He's that old guy that's like, one finger at a time, and he also hates it. If it was up to Jerome, he would never use a cell phone in his life. He doesn't. That's not his jam, right?
I believe it.
And then even with you, we had Regis. Regis was on the podcast a couple weeks ago. We had you, Regis, and JT, and we all were slowly feeding you guys little things like, all right, who can run the truck? Who can run a big job? Who can, estimate jobs? Who can estimate times? And some people are, more successful naturally normally here, and some people are more naturally successful there. Like you're a relatively soft-spoken person, so it's like, can you delegate and tell people what to do? And you said it very emphatically, like, yeah, I do it all the time. That's what I do now. And that was something where it was a muscle you had. And I'll ask you, did you know you had that muscle?
You know what? So I had worked with kids in a life in my past, and when it comes to working with kids, I can easily be like, hey, do this, do that, go do this and that. But when it came to working with people my age, men my age, grown men my age, I will say I came into a little more meek, a little more, even in my beginning days of crew chiefing, I would more ask people to do things rather than just tell them what to do, or I would suggest it even. And I'm like, looking back, I'm like, that's so weak, it doesn't get anything done. It's like, because then your guys will listen to you and be like, well, he asked me, I can say no, or like, it's just not a strong leader at the helm. And so it's just a matter of, I kind of have been learning my place, my authority, learning my voice, if you will. And I am maybe one of the more gentle leaders, but I'm not a weak leader, that makes any sense, and so, and I'm getting stronger, and I'm getting stronger as well, over time. So.
And that's the other thing. I embrace people. We're leaning on people's strengths, right? You are the strong, silent type. You're also one of those guys that's great one-on-one and would put in front of an audience, right? That's not necessarily where you'll shine and naturally go. You can get there. It's not your thing. Or you even said from the top of the podcast, I came out and was like, hey, you're doing the podcast. I was like, you're promoted. You're doing the podcast today. It instantly, you're like, Michael talks more than me. He'd be a great guest. I was like, Michael's been here 2 months, right? Like, it's an earned opportunity to be on the podcast. Michael, he hasn't earned it yet. Maybe a couple weeks he will. Although I will say, we had a couple weeks ago, we did a employee outing, We did a flag football game. My knee still
Yeah.
hurts from that. And there was 2 or 3 times I was the all-time quarterback on the account of being the old guy and keeping things level and fair. And Michael bailed me out a few times. A couple balls out there Michael came down with that was more of a receiver caught the ball versus quarterback threw the ball in the right spot.
A little luck there.
Yeah, I trusted my receiver to make the catch. Anyhow, so yeah, that's those are things we do here at Camo Crew to see other sides of people. And even Michael, let's take that. So how do you, right? You're soft-spoken, newer crew chief. You get someone like Michael, brand new employee, kind of outspoken. How were you able to navigate those waters? Because like today, very, like I said, you guys were just banging out, taking care of business together, right? Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that you had to overcome or got to overcome, muscles you got to exercise to be able to navigate those waters?
Great question. And I can kind of use my experience with kids in this answer here, whereas like when it comes to working with kids, let's say a kid is very active. You can't have them sit down somewhere as a solution. You got to put them somewhere where they can be active, and be productive as well. With Mike, he's high energy. He is very talkative, but that's not a negative thing. I try to figure out how I can make these things into assets. And so when it comes to that energy, Mike is the guy, and I'm sure that every other guy can tell you too. You put him in the front. You as your spearhead, and he will literally just get stuff done when it comes to being in the front lines. And on the other side of that as well, if he's in the front, he can't be talking to the guys behind him too much, and so it's kind of like kind of shuts him up a little bit. But but then when it comes to talking,
the truth.
But when it comes to talking though as well though, like I said, that can be an asset. We are a customer service. We provide that to our customers, and so with him, when the job is done, customers like to talk sometimes, and so I was like, give them to the customer, let them talk it out, and it'll make things a lot better. And so it's just figuring out how to take whatever a guy brings to the table, good or bad, good or bad, I'll say, and make it into something that you can work with, and something like an asset, as rather than a deficit.
So one of my early mentors, this was probably 7-8 years ago, Ray Gagnon from up there, upstate New York, near what was he near? Syracuse. I'm failing to recall the exact place he was. Albany, Syracuse, up in that area. Anyways, he had told me there's no such thing as good news or bad news, only new information and what you do with it. And that's the same thing with people. There's no such thing as good people or bad people, only new people and what you do with them. Right? Some people, you're like, yep, they're not allowed to be in my life, and you adjust accordingly. And other people, so example for Mike, you're like, hey, it's not good or bad he talks. It's like, all right, Mike talks. All right, Mike's high energy. All right. So what I love about what you said there too, from a very practical standpoint, when we do multi-trailer jobs, we talk multi-trailer, anything, 4, 5, we'll say 5, north of 5 trailers. We're going to send multiple crews there, get it done in a day. Typically we can do up to about 12 trailers a day on our crews, well-oiled machine. That's typical, about 8 from a big job, but we do 12 trailers in total throughout the day. That's where our capacity is right now. You get someone like Mike on a job, an 8-trailer job for the day, on that one job, you put him out front. You have him as a main guy, either sorting or dragging buckets, because he'll make everybody that much faster, because he's going to pound. Right? You put him at the end where he's sitting in the truck, he's going to be sitting there bebopping the whole time, waiting for volume to come. Exactly. And it's no different when we've done 2 electronic collections event this year. I was at both of them. Mike was at both of them. And at both of them, Mike is the one unloading material from the cars and the trucks as they pulled up. I'm on the table sorting, because that's what I'm pretty good at. And also I can step away from it, and because I'm chipping in, I'm not an active member of the team per se. And then we put Napoleon on the box truck. Napoleon, slow and steady, right? You're like, Napoleon works at one speed, and he works at that speed all day. And it's steady. Like, everyone loves working with Napoleon because he does not talk and he's steady. So you know what? You put Mike, highest energy, most talkative guy in the front, Napoleon on the end, and everybody else is processing and sorting in between. Machine runs great. You flip-flop that, you have Napoleon running between cars and Mike up in the box truck bebopping, the whole system would go to shit.
Getting a little antsy.
They would get right. He gets antsy. myself included. You put me in the truck, I'll just start. What the hell? Let's go. I'm waiting on you. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. You put me up front. I'm gonna hunt material out to the truck. It's a game to me. I want to see how far I can stack it up on you before you catch up with me. Right? Like that's interesting to me because I love to set the tone. I want to set the tone. I want to make sure we get this job done. I remember there was like 2 years ago, we had this job, like 7-trailer job. It wasn't too far from here. It was in Brookfield, maybe a mile and a half. 7-trailer job. I get there, 8 a.m. We got like 5 guys on the crew. So our math is always 1 trailer per guy for a large job, and the math changes depending on number of factors. Anyways, we had like 5 guys there, and so Tommy, who was the team lead, was like, "Man, we're not going to get it done." I go, "Okay, I'm going to show up I'll be there for the first hour and a half." I had somewhere to be at 10 a.m. So I was like, "I'm going to go from 8 to 9:30. I'm going to go hard in paint." Right? We cleared out the entire first floor, 3 trailers in the first hour and a half. I'm like, "Okay, now you got a fighting chance." And he goes, "You don't expect us to work this fast the rest of the time?" I'm like, "No. We did the first floor where it was, big furniture, get the kitchen done, get the garage done, right? And then there was 4 trailers in the basement." Like, I recognize that those 4 trailers in the basement are going to go significantly slower. The key, though, is get on it while you can. Because when you start slow, you ain't getting any faster.
Yeah.
Right? You got to attack it. Like, for me, for example, our dump trucks are trailer and a half capacity, 24 cubic yards. Our trailers are 16 cubic yards. That's how we do pricing. I tell my guys, right, on the big jobs, I want that first truck leaving at 9 a.m. Whatever the size job is, pound it, fill it, right? Get that truck down and on the way to the transfer station as soon as possible, right? That's assuming that that's also by sorting and diverting material from the landfill and putting it in our box trucks the whole time. Because at least then it's like, okay, as soon as we get that truck heading to the transfer station, we take a 10-minute break. Everyone takes a 10-minute break, 15-minute break. Then we get right back on it. And normally if you have 2 trucks, you back the other truck in, start pounding that truck. And then by the time the first one comes back, it's only a matter of time before you swap them again. Right. And that's how you keep the system going, by putting the right people in the right seats. So when you're out there in the field, you've seen this happen, right? What are some of the other best practices as a crew chief that you've seen that you guys have adapted so that we're able to get as much capacity and work done while sorting along the way?
Well, like I said, it is starts off with putting guys in the right places, but also it's a matter of making sure we're on the same page. Like making sure that, first off, that if there is anybody who is having a hard time sorting things properly, that we address it immediately before it becomes a problem later on in the day. We like I said, we're just all on the same page. If something doesn't work, we move them to where it might work. So we're always making adjustments where it's necessary. You said how do we maximize capacity and how do we maximize productivity and what was the other one?
Well, just maximize. Yeah, I mean, I want to hear from you. You're doing it every day. I'm talking about stories from 2 years ago where, hey, that one job I banged out a few months ago, right? I want to know, like, what are the challenges you see? Like, you kind of hinted on it, right? You got the wrong guy in the wrong spot in the system. You pull them out or you swap them because it may or may not work. At least you're doing something different versus doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, which is insanity as we know it.
Oh, but along with that, never have too many guys in one spot. That's just going to cause clutter, and there's no flow happening when you have too many guys in one spot. It's better to have some guys moving material between the location to the truck. One guy actually on the truck, placing it on there. Like I said, Napoleon placing it on there in a organized, intentional way, not just tossing it on there, but placing it, stacking as much as possible. Having somebody, like I said, spearheading things, kind of like grabbing the undesired items, the junk from where it is, and kind of like started getting it moving. And so, on larger jobs, I think it's kind of like those three main things: the guy who's at the forefront, the gentlemen who are kind of like the in between guys, and then the guys who are placing things where they need to be. And usually, as crew chief, I was kind of taught to kind of be at the end of it all, like maybe on the truck or maybe in the garage, or kind of towards the end of it, kind of making sure that things are going well within the the building or within the whatever it is. But sometimes you got to get in there as well. If it's going too slow, you gotta get in there yourself. And so, um, yeah, just like I said, those having those 3 points, and as crew chief, kind of like being willing to kind of make adjustments, go to whichever point needs help, and kind of like filling in where they're weak, and things of that nature.
Well, that's the job. When I was talking about that even with the e-waste event and any job, right? It's having a system that works wherein the crew chief is like the coach that comes on the floor when needed
Yeah, yeah.
versus a player on the team, right?
Mhm.
Their job is to coach up and train up as you go. So if you see someone that's struggling, you get out there, you coach them up on the spot versus, well, I'm also on the team, because if when you're in charge and you're the first guy packing boxes, you got no idea what's going on the other end.
Yep.
When you're in charge and you're in the truck, you're wondering, wait, where are they in the house? What material are they moving? Right.
Mhm.
And be able to float from front to back throughout the whole process allows you to keep your eyes on the job. And a lot of guys that are starting their business, one of their big apprehensions is, are people going to, live up to the quality of the workmanship that I do? Are they going to make sure when they're taking things out of the house that they're not scratching the walls?
Mhm.
For us and those businesses that sort material, are they sorting material so we're not putting it all in the truck that's going to destined for the landfill?
Mhm.
And the way you embrace that is by still overseeing the whole process and not getting yourself caught up in one spot for too long, right?
Mhm.
If the guys that are humping material are getting slowed down, right? They're not moving as much material. Well, get on the front end and start sorting. So there's plenty of stuff sorted to go,
Mhm.
and even at the beginning, right? The first thing I do when I go to a house is I always want to attack the kitchen first because it has the most smalls. So what I do
Mhm.
is, as the front first guy, I'll go do all the smalls, and I'll tell two other guys, get all the furniture out of the living room in the front room, so we got a place of egress and also a place to potentially stage material as it's coming in and out of the house, and that
Mhm.
allows me time to start cleaning out the kitchen. So they're not waiting for they're not waiting for sorted material. And then also I'm constantly yelling for buckets because I'm going to fill the
Mhm.
buckets faster than you can bring them to me.
Mhm.
So I need buckets. I need buckets. When I'm standing here with no buckets, that means someone's not doing their job, you
Mhm.
know? And setting that pace and setting that tone, and then as the leader, be able to ascertain where's the clog here. And instead of letting things clog up, jump in, fix it, get the system back and working. Same reason why I advocate for everybody taking the break at the same time. Some
Mhm.
people are like, oh, you take a 10, and when you're done, you take a 10, and when you're done, you take a 10. It's like, well, hold on. Either way, yeah, 6 guys. It's collectively 60 minutes, no matter how you slice it. So let's do it all at once. Let's all take a 10 all at once. Let the system rest, and then get back to it.
Mhm.
Get and that way everyone's energy level is at the exact same level. And I worked at UPS years ago, and that's what they had. We had an 11-minute break. I think the first 7 minutes was break, and the last 4 minutes was a meeting. It was an 11-minute break or 13. It was an oddball number. It was an 11-minute break on a 4-hour shift. So it's like you'd work for 2 hours, 11-minute break, and then you'd work for another hour and a half to 2 hours. Because your shift is between 3.5 and 5 hours. And that
Mhm.
break, everyone was breaking at the same time. Like the entire facility shut down. They turned all the belts off, all the lines. So the entire company, 400 some sorters, all stopped at the same time. It's like, well,
Mhm.
now the constraint you have sometimes is bathrooms and smoking area and all that other stuff. And yet
Mhm.
big companies do it. So implementing that even with small companies and smaller teams is still a best practice.
Yeah, yeah. And if I can interrupt you there a little bit, you just reminded me about I had an example. I had a experience where I had a group of 6 guys, me included, and I had this notion that, all right, we got this big job. I think it was like 6 trailers or something like that. We could split up into teams of 3. I thought,
Mhm.
and in doing so, we can cut it in half. Your team will focus on this part, we'll focus on that part. But like I said, we started in a basement, and it did not work out well at all. Having those 2 different teams, like the stairs became a bottleneck point,
Yep.
and there was no, we kept on bumping heads, and, oh, excuse me, get that way. And so that's when I was like, okay, this multiple team stuff, we can all be one team here working on the
Yep.
same goal, getting the basement done, and we can get this flow going. Whereas, like I said, we got 2 guys down here getting things sorted, 2 guys bringing things upstairs, 2 guys upstairs putting it on a truck, and
Yep.
that minor adjustment made things go so much easier.
Well, that's where I appreciated what you guys in the field. I'll get to job sites sometimes, and I'm like, why are you guys doing things the difficult way? This is driving me. Y'all are working twice as hard to get half as much done. I see it in the warehouse too sometimes, and I'm glad you're picking up on it. I'm glad you're experimenting to prove that the theories work, right? And maybe there's a better way of doing it. I'm open to a better way of doing it. I've worked hard before, and I'm no longer interested in working hard. I'm more interested in working smart. And and then also with those other 5 guys, now you can clearly articulate, like, hey guys, we did it one way. How'd it work out? Not great. Okay, cool. Let's not do that ever again. Right. And stick with those simple practices. You know, two teams of 3 are going to run into each other. Wow, you got 2 guys sorting, 2 guys, dragging or humping buckets, and 2 guys that are putting it on the clearing it out of the staged area or putting it on the trucks. Like, good. Now we're getting somewhere. And it's good. It was good that you took a chance. It's good it did not work out the way you anticipated. And it's great that you made an adjustment. Because now it's no longer about exactly. So it's no longer about what Andy thinks is best or the Camel Crew way. It's like, we give you guys the autonomy in the field. We taught you the best way. You did a different way and then realized the best way was actually the best way. The best practice. And there's other things where you're like, actually, I found out a better way of doing this process. All right, well, let's update the process. Our warehouse, we're consistently changing the warehouse based on what's the best need and how the vendors are, as we change out vendors and swap out vendors, like, hey, what is a better way of doing this same process? Because, as we get into summer here, our warehouse, I counted yesterday, we can fit 58 Gaylords single stacked in our warehouse in the outbound room. And yet we didn't utilize the warehouse to its full potential this last e-waste run. So it's like, okay, why not? And so we made a few adjustments in the warehouse because we can fit 58, which is a lot of Gaylords because that allows us more than 2 semis of material, which is we ship out on either 24-foot trucks or, 48-foot or 53-foot van trailers.
Yeah. And are you taking your sip there? That is one thing about you guys and Camel Crew that, I think is so awesome, if I can just say so, is that there's a constant reflection, there's constant improvement, there's constant adjustment. There's been changes since I've gotten here, just in the way things have been operated, and there have been changes for the better, if I say so myself. And so I think that's so awesome that sorry, for a second. But yeah, just there's a Japanese concept of kamsai, which is just constant improvement, and I think that you guys exemplify that the idea of just constant improvement.
No, I can, Earl. I can hear you down there. You can hear me.
All right, Kenny. Yeah. For a while you're muted, but
right. Kansai methodology.
I think it's Kansai. It's just like the idea of constantly improving. Where
Kansai. KONSI appears to be
okay.
A reference for the continuous implementation methodology, a framework by continuous. This is keys preparation sale. Never mind. This is not it. This is some.
I want to say KAMSAI.
KAMSAI. KANSEI. Translate. No. All right. Kansai engineering. We haven't figured it out. We might figure it out. That's Kansai engineering is
Kaizen. Wow.
Kaizen.
Okay.
Kaizen.
Totally off.
How do you spell that?
KAIZEN. Wow. It's embarrassing.
We got the Japanese philosophy. I knew it. Japanese philosophy and methodology for continuous improvement, focusing on making incremental and ongoing positive changes to process and systems. So the 5 principles are: know your customer, let it flow, go to Gemba, empower people, and be transparent. Go to Gemba means visit the actual location or site where the work is being done to observe and understand the real world situation and problems. There we go. That's what we're talking about. And then, empowering people, putting the right people in the right seats. That's as simple as that is. There we go.
Mhm.
I recall it from when I was taking a class in college and learned about this methodology when they're talking about Six Sigma. And yeah, the last thing is this is where a lot of business owners struggle. Be transparent. Share information openly and honestly with all stakeholders, including employees and customers, to build trust and facilitate collaboration. Let's talk about that. That's something
Oh
that
my
is
goodness.
relatively unique to our business. Let's talk about that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Since you mentioned that, we have these Tuesday trainings where the company literally invests an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours of the company money into training us. Like I said, these small incremental improvements they're given to us. And sometimes during these meetings, they'll literally lay out, you guys really lay out the numbers, how much money we're making, how much money that you want to make, how much money we need to make. You'll show the gains, the losses. You'll show how our work ethic or lack thereof affects the company, and yeah, just that transparency. It's literally not a matter of us just making the company money, but it's a matter of us contributing to the company's, excuse me, to a singular goal. And yeah, there's, I mean, I haven't asked any questions yet that I've been told, oh no, you don't ask that question. I've had all my questions answered. You know, and so yeah, the Camel Crew, yeah, transparent as water, in my opinion.
Like that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. So we also do all day training once a quarter. So we had
Mm,
all day team training last Tuesday.
mm,
So what was your takeaway? What were your top takeaways from training? I haven't talked to you yet. I was down in Missouri at a speaking conference. I left that afternoon. What was your top
mm.
takeaways from last week's all day training?
Um, I've been to two all day trainings so far, and in both of them, it was reiterated to me, and it just bears repeating how this company is different in that it's not a top down pyramid. It's more like a bottom up pyramid where the boss and the owners at the bottom type deal, and the
Mhm.
people who, I think the customers are on top, but then like the workers
Yep.
are like, close to the top as well. And just this whole shift from it being where we're working for the boss man, to it being where the boss is working for us, we're working for the customer, and then the customer is, taking care of us as well. And so yeah, that change sticks with me. And I'm trying to think too, about what the training was about. It was a lot of safety involved, a lot of safety reminders involved. And with that, it's just, I don't know, the company cares about us. It's not a matter of us just, being numbers, if you will. We're actually seen as individuals who, have bodily autonomy, and we're significant. And it's not a matter of, if you get hurt, oh, too bad, you're out of here. It's a matter of, we'll train you in a way that you don't cause damage to people stuff. You don't cause damage to yourself even. One training we had where we had a guy come through, teaching us how to lift properly, and it's just so yeah, yeah, I don't know. It's just really what I get from it. The main thing is the fact that this company invests in the employees as opposed to, expects the employees to come in and work and that's it. Like a lot of other companies, I'm sure do.
So one thing you hinted on there is that the methodology we talk about all the time, right? It's the owners take care of the leadership team takes care of the guys take care of the customers take care of the business, right? That
Mm.
that is that is our methodology. So we talk about that and we say that. How do you see that show up when it comes to everyday life here at Camel Crew?
Mm. Well, as far as I know, the leadership's goal, at least the guys that I work with, leaderships that I work with, their goal is to make sure that there are hours for us. You know, it's not a matter of us making sure the company's making money. It's more so they're making sure that we have work to do. If that makes sense. And so, I mean, from there, the onus isn't on us anymore. It's on the management guys. The management team. On the other hand, though, when it comes to us taking care of the customer and the customer taking care of the whole business, that's where the whole customer service comes in. Whereas, like, we're not working to make the bosses happy. We're working to make the customer happy. And when the customer's happy, like you said, they'll take care of the company. They'll take care of us as individuals, give us a little tip, recommendations, something like that. And yeah, I mean, I personally haven't had any kind of, and this is not a bad thing, I haven't had any kind of direct, like, Earl, you're making me, Earl, I'm trying to think, where, like, when it comes to talking to you as the boss, it's never been a matter of trying to appease you. It's a matter of, making sure that I'm, being excellent with my team and with the customers, and in doing so, I'll get promoted and grow and all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's there's a lot of organizations that are owner centric or even egotistical centric.
Mm-hmm.
That's never been the way we run things around here, because it ultimately doesn't serve the greater good, right? The greater good is taking care of the community, and you guys are out there every day. You guys are doing the jobs you guys are in the community. So how you guys interface with the community is a lot more important than what I have a personal thought towards you or somebody else on the team. When I read the reviews, it's you guys that are mentioned. It's you guys are in the pictures, right? You guys are the ones that are making your hero. They're making your customers the heroes. It's everybody at every level. I look at where it's my job is to make heroes out of everybody, right? I want the leadership team to look really good to the guys. I want the guys to look really good to the customers. I want the customers to get really good to whomever they're serving, right? In a case where mom and dad are getting new furniture, right? I want the kids to be like, wow, my parents are heroes. They got the old furniture out, new furniture in, right? When it comes to sometimes when it's families that are moving mom and dad to senior living, it's like, hey, the reverse here. The kids took care of the parents, right? Our job is to make the next person look great. Realtors love us because we make them look like the heroes, so their clients can sell their house. We had a situation last week where a realtor said he was going to clean a house out for a certain amount of money. He got over his head. He called us. We got there, and we're like, it's twice as much as you said it was going to be, which means it's twice as much money. And he's like, it's got to get done. It's got to get done because I told my customers it was going to get done. So now we low-key made him look like the hero, right? And didn't pose. We weren't like, well, we're only going to do half the job because you're only paying us half. We're like, hey, man, you make the call. And we ultimately made him look like the hero. And so that's the goal. Our job as a leadership team is to set you guys up for success. And that comes down to having the right amount of work. It's well-routed. It's the right types of customers. It's the right type of material. We have great relationships with our vendors, Habitat, Goodwill, the mattress company. I don't know who we're using. Mattress company is new. We got a new mattress company. We got Avterra, which is our electronics collections or electronic recycler. Like, we have all these relationships. So you guys are successful. When you bring material back, you know exactly where to put it, how to put it. So we make them look good. So when they deliver loads, the load looks good. It's like, all right, man, we want to work with these guys. We were talking about yesterday sorting electronics, and we pre-sort all of our electronics. We don't have to. We choose to, because we want to make it simpler we get paid the same for, miscellaneous electronics, large screen TVs, small monitors and things like that. And then we separate them because we want to make it as simple as possible for our customer. So we'll do a little bit extra because and it's also they fit better in the Gaylords, but it really comes down to, we want to deliver a good product. When we take furniture out of somebody's house, we want to make sure we take the feet off the couch and we keep them with the couch. So when we donate it, it's got the feet, because we want to make sure we deliver that product to the best, as good as it's been when we got it. I just got a text message from Taylor saying that Regis was looking over the shoulder, spying on you.
Yeah, pardon my smile. I chuck a little bit, but to kind of build off that, though, I mean, sometimes we ourselves, I feel like, are the heroes too. I don't mean say that to sound haughty or egotistical, like I said before, but just like sometimes we are a client's last resort. you know,
Mm-hmm.
whereas like their body is not working the way it used to work 20 years ago, whatever. Their parents might be passed on or whatever. And yeah, we come through, you know, able-bodied, ready to work, ready to get stuff done. And there's been multiple times, I kid you not, where a customer has just said thank you. I mean, on one hand, they're paying us, yes, they're paying us good money too, but on the other hand, they literally say thank you. You literally, you know, I've been working on this for 3 weeks, and you've got it done in 3 hours, or you know, 3 hours, whatever, or however long it is. And so, yeah, just I like the creation of heroes. You know, so you're in a business of creating heroes. I like that.
I know, I love that, and that really is the truth. You know, there's a lot of organizations, and let's go back to where we started this conversation. When you first joined, you're like, I saw what I saw on TV. You joined junk removal because it was a job for all intents and purposes, and
Mhm,
now you get to go into people's houses every day. You get to interface with the end user. You get to solve big problems. You get to be the hero in their own home. You get,
mhm,
you know, to feel that gratitude for doing something that you're pretty good at and you like doing.
mhm,
And then the
mhm,
back end process, knowing that we're going to be recycling this material, we're going to be reusing it, repurposing it, then we're also going to make a connection. We're going to get the material to somebody else that wants it. So now
mhm,
we're the hero for making that transition because the person in the home doesn't know where to start. And the guy that wants the material, there's not a means to get it to them. And so we're the ones that make that happen. And that's the good stuff about what I love about our industry and logistics, right? We move product. Ultimately, that's what we're doing. We're moving product from one place to another where this person
mhm.
wants it gone and this person wants it. Like, and we want to haul it, right? It's a win-win-win when we look at the methodology of how we run our business day in and day out, and that's what
Mhm.
excites me about the entire industry, right? And you know, you use the word junk quite a bit early on, right? We avoid using the word junk in our business, right?
Yeah.
They're unwanted items, and it comes down to it's unwanted by one person. How do I get it to the person that wants it?
Mhm,
Electronics. We do electronics collections event. We collected 19,000 pounds of electronics on Saturday. That's 19,000 pounds that 380 cars did not want.
mhm,
The recycling, the electronics collection or electronics recycler we ship it to, they want that material. And we're the catalyst that made that happen at no cost to the community members, right? We make
mhm,
that happen because we know how to make
mhm.
that happen and be cash flow positive and profitable. So that's what we get to do every day. And that's what excites me about this industry. That's why I'm doing it. And that's why I love to recruit guys like you that might not know or even care about recycling in the environment. And over time, there's an appreciation for the way we do things. So that's
Oh
what
yeah.
excites me, having you and the guys on the team that might not come in with any desire whatsoever to get excited about this industry because a lot of people aren't growing up in school saying I want to haul junk for a living, right?
Mhm,
I, seventh grade, I did my seventh grade science fair project about recycling. Like this is in my blood. It's in my veins. It's
mhm.
what I do. And so for me to go on this journey and have people like you join me on this journey is I love it. I appreciate having you on the team. Let's get to two things. We'll get to one word or not one word. What do you have to say? What do you love about working at Camo Crew? You got the opportunity to speak to potential vendors, potential customers, potential employees. What is it you love about Camo Crew?
What do I love about Camel Crew? I mean, do you want me to get deep into it or just like, you know, the surface level stuff?
Hey
Because, you know,
baby,
I
hey,
talk
hey
about,
baby, it's your world. I'm living in it. The deeper, the better. The more you
I
give, the
mean,
more you get.
like at the most basic level, the guys, you know, we got some hardworking guys here. We got guys who will inspire you to work harder. You know, guys who inspire you to be better. Um, you know, guys who are funny to work with. You
Who's the
know,
funny?
they enjoy
Who's the funniest guy?
the funniest guy.
Yeah,
One of these new guys, Ray Mel, is pretty funny. The Ray
really.
Mel is pretty funny.
I would have not have known that. He's low
Yeah,
key around me.
yeah, he's pretty funny. Just he actually is like Mike, but I'd say more comedic. Just a heads up. Not a bad thing, but he's a hard worker as well. But just he's a comedic guy. No, but just I do love the mission as well of Camo Crew, where the mission is simply it is not simply remove unwanted stuff from folks' house because you know anybody can do that. I can do that my dang self, you know. But it's the mission of minimizing what we put into landfills. I love that, And I hate the idea of landfills being here after I'm gone. Like that my kid will have to deal with. That's kind of frightening. And so to mitigate that at all is a positive thing. And on the flip side of that, putting things, like I said before, putting things in the folks' hands who actually do want it. There's pieces of plastic I'm thinking of right now, whereas like if we didn't do what we did, it would end up in a landfill and it would last until after our grandkids are gone, and so on and so forth. But because of what we're doing, because of the small choices we're making of putting it into this bin rather than into the dump truck, we're helping with that. And on the flip side too, you save money that way. You save money when you're not disposing of things and you're actually just reusing it, recycling it, repurposing it. And so yeah, just the fact that we're making a difference environmentally, and we're also giving folks who want or need certain things what they want or need.
Yeah, no, I love that. And one of the things, as you're talking about that the want versus need, right? We get to do that every day. We get to make those choices. So we get to see the fruits of our labor, right? We like good or bad. We get to see what that looks like, and it really comes back to that philosophy of what we do here by making the people, the places, and the products we interact with. We maximize the value by all the simple choices you make. Like you said, over time, you've developed new habits based on some of our fundamentals here, right? Which is going to make you more individually responsible, which allows you to live a better life, right? Because you're more conscious about all the incremental changes you make. Going back to the Kaizen theory, right? We're not going to eat an elephant all in one bite. It's one bite at a time, incremental improvements throughout, consistent looking at our processes and being inquisitive, wondering how we can be better, asking the why 5 times methodology, so that we're consistently growing as an organization. And when we grow as an organization, the individuals within the organization grow. To the point about what you said about costing less to dispose, a lot of people say, well, it's more work when you have to sort it. So I've done plenty of research, especially mattresses are a prime example. For what we do with mattresses, when I factor in the time it would take to take mattresses to disposal, or the time it takes us to bring mattresses back here, unload them, store them, load them back onto a truck, and then pay for trucking, it ends up being almost the exact same cost, whether I take it to the landfill or I pay the guy. So I have a choice. Do I want to give my money to Waste Management, top, Fortune 100 company in the world? Or do I want to employ Earl for another hour this week? It's that simple of a choice. One, I get to employ guys like Earl and Regis, right? It costs more money for us to unload, right? Other trunk removal companies, they hit the transfer station, they dump out, they park their trucks. We come back here and we unload for half hour, sometimes an hour or two, right? Depending on the day when the truck is packed. I'd rather pay you guys that half hour, right? That hour a day, 4 or 5 hours a week, $20 an hour. That's another $100 in your pocket. Why wouldn't I want to pay you that? It's another $5,000 in your life that you can use with your family. So would I rather give that $5,000 to Waste Management, or would I rather give that $5,000 to Earl? It really is that simple. Like when I talk about taking care of the community, right? Me as a business owner, I'm going to spend the money either way. My labor costs are higher than others because we pay our guys more and we give them more hours. And our disposal costs are less than others. So the cost is the same. It's a very clear choice. What do I want to do? Do I want to take care of my guys, or do I want to take care of Waste Management? The dollars go out either way. So when I talk about empowering our community, I'm a capitalist through and through, right? When we drive the economy, that's what takes care of communities. Proven time and time again. To get rid of all these government programs, time and time again, money earned, not given, money earned is what stimulates communities to grow. And that's what we do here at Camel Crew, responsible junk removal right here in southeastern Wisconsin. And that's why I'm excited to be a small business owner and do what we do every single day, serving our community. And it goes from the second we leave here to the time we get back, we're out there serving our community by doing what others discard, what others no longer want to deal with. That's what we do best here at Camel Crew. So let's get to the big finish. Earl, from this conversation, what's been your top takeaway?
My top takeaway was actually that the 5 whys. I had used that years ago in a previous conversation with somebody, but I didn't know what I was doing. I was just kind of I was just kind of being more of a bother than actually trying to dig deeper and deeper and deeper. And I'm just going to be really asking myself that more often, when it comes, or even just asking others that as well when it comes to getting to the deep nitty gritty of why we're doing what we're doing, or why you're doing what you're doing, why you feel the way you feel. And so, yeah, just the 5 whys. That was my main takeaway. I don't know if does that count as a takeaway?
Yeah,
okay.
Maybe it's your world. There's no, in life, you're an academic by trade. We've talked about this. Mm-hmm. What's your degree in?
Elementary education.
Yeah, so you work through academia, right? And even education, English, there are clear rules and standards and rights and wrongs, right?
Oh yeah.
Entrepreneurship, there ain't no right answers. There's the answer, right? Mm-hmm. And so when I ask that question, it's, hey man, what's on your mind, right? And I guess that's I'll say my top takeaway. We've had the pleasure of working together since August. Mm-hmm. We see each other almost daily, or a couple times a week. We've had some really good in-depth conversations one-on-one, and among other people. We've spent some time together, and spending this hour together, right, in this forum brings out different sides in both of us. And so mm-hmm. I really appreciate you taking the opportunity today, right?
It's my pleasure. My pleasure.
Right. Again, you had this limiting self-belief, and again, we break through ceilings. So today you broke through the ceiling with your fist, not your face. Yeah. Right, you embrace this opportunity. You put up your wall, and then it was like, fuck your wall, let's go. And so I really appreciate you taking the time. And yeah, we're going to have more of our employees or more of our guys on, because this is the good mm-hmm. stuff, right? This is the in-depth stuff of what we do here at Camel Crew, and why I love being a small business owner, why I love guys like Earl working for us, and the dynamic. We're coming from 2 different perspectives, and yet we come to the same conclusion of how do we serve our community best. And it's by doing mm-hmm. what we do here at Camel Crew. Mm-hmm. All right, let's get to let's talk about next week. Next week's episode, Barbara Fagan. Barbara and I both love neurolinguistics programming at a 5th grade reading level is where I do it. She does it at a doctorate level, essentially talking about words and how you can convince yourself to ultimately live up to your goals and dreams. So Barbara and I, she read my book, she used my book, and she goes on and does keynote speaking and talks about soft language. I talk about shit words that do not serve. So next week, Tuesday, normal time, and program next week, Tuesday, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, 1600 for my military folks. We will be talking about the power of language and essentially how to convince yourself that you can do anything you want through your language. It'll be coming up next week. So on behalf of Earl, our guest, Taylor, oh, actually, I forgot. Also, if you want to be a guest on the Trash Talk Business Podcast, go to trashtalkbusinesspodcast.com and apply to be a guest. Also, for the listeners out there, there's someone you want to reach out to, someone you want to hear from, send them our way. Tell them to go to trashtalkbusinesspodcast.com, fill out a chance to be a guest on the show so we can bring the best and brightest in our industry right here to this show. So on behalf of Earl, our guest, Taylor, our producer, I'm Andy Wines, and this has been another amazing episode of the Trash Talk Business Podcast. Bye now.
Thanks for listening. Tap subscribe or follow to get the latest episode. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave us a review and tell a friend to listen. To learn more, visit trashtalkbusinesspodcast.com. Bye now.